Hi, welcome to Faith and Fitness TV broadcast, the McKenzie Project. I'm your host today, Patricia McKenzie, also known as Takesha. This is part 2 of my interview with this amazing young man. He's a speaker and an author, Darrell Bennett. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Part 2.
Thank you. Welcome back. Yeah. I didn't have to go far. So.
Didn't have to go far. Darrell is a published author. He's written 6 books thus far. The newest one, Come Back Swinging. Can y'all see that? Come Back Swinging. Okay? Excellent. If you didn't see part 1, y'all need to watch part 1 show. Okay? And then you'll get an idea. Go get the book. First book he wrote, Daring to Be Different. Third book, The Power to Think and the Will to Act. Harvard graduate.
Yes.
Morehouse man. Valedictorian of his, was it Morehouse?
Yes.
Morehouse. And we're going to go into part 2.
Okay, let's go.
Y'all have to watch part 1 because we're not going to go through the whole thing again. All right, so we left off at, okay, the feds come.
Yes.
They come to your house. They take you away. You had a bar exam. Good. A bar exam, like 5 days coming. You take us from the bar exam. Take us about after they,
Okay, so after the bar exam, then they came to actually arrest me. And I get into the specifics. These were the feds. Okay. I get into the specifics, obviously, in the book. Right. We're not going to give it away. Get the book. You got to get the book. Yes. Yeah, it was deep. And for the next year, I was on what was called pretrial supervision, waiting for the resolution of the case. Okay. That could be prison. That could be dismissal of charges. That could be any number of things. It's just... So for 11 months, I was on an ankle bracelet. Now, I just want to make this clear because people get confused on this. I was an attorney at this point. I was an attorney, but the arrest came pursuant to things that happened before I was an attorney because I hadn't even taken the bar. So there's this space of time where I'm arrested as an attorney for things that happened before, and I'm teaching college. Right. This doesn't get more ironic. I'm not making this up for a better story. I'm teaching at the largest community college in the country here in Manhattan. I was actually teaching at 2 colleges, actually, one community, one university, criminal justice classes. How ironic. And I'm on an ankle bracelet. How ironic. I was actually even cleared to go fly to different parts of the country and give speeches. And one woman came up to me after one speech and she said, "You are speaking. I've heard you before, but I've never heard that. I remember reading that. Yeah. And I wanted to say, you don't know the half. But you have a voice. Use it. You have a voice. That's what my mom would always say. You have a voice, because I said to my mother, I don't think I should be speaking. I mean, look at what I've done. Look at what could happen. Look at, am I a fraud because I'm telling people to keep going? I'm not telling people to live like me, but am I a fraud because I'm telling people to keep going, and here I am carrying this secret? But stop there. I want to stop you there. Yes. I want to fast forward because something has dropped in my spirit. You were in jail, penitentiary, one of those, and you saw the hopelessness of the people around you. And you got, after you came out of the depression and people were talking to you and the guy with all the tattoos and like areas skinhead and, encouraging you. And I was like, say that again, because people made the Aryan, he was an Aryan Brotherhood, which is super supremacist white group. And he comes to encourage me. He comes to encourage this young black man. Okay. And I was like, okay. So fast forward, you see around you after you came out of this depression of being in the bed almost 20 hours out of 24 hours a day. You really did read the book. Yes, I did, honey. I don't play. This is research. This is God's work. I ain't gonna mess up. And I can't help it. You talked about looking around after coming out of that depression. Yes. And God was sending many people to you in there to encourage you. Yes. And they had already got to the place where they were like, well, this is their life. They're going to be here for the next 10 years. And don't worry, I can sit on the toilet for 10 years. I can make it. Yeah. Remember that? So the part where I was like, where you got up, you finished crying, and you got mad. Yes.
And you said, you're going to do something about this because all these people around you were walking dead people.
It was a resignation. This was
talk about that.
Okay, yeah. So I talk about the difference between jail and prison.
Right.
People use them interchangeably. These are people who have not been
Okay, so give us a difference.
Okay. Jail is where a person is held, waiting for a case, pending the outcome of some level of litigation. Okay. They could be there for a long time, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. They can be extremely violent. That is definitely the case. Okay. Often jails are near cities, in the middle of cities, because they have to be near courthouse, because that's where the case is playing out. People are getting visits in jails. It's structured completely different. Prison is where a person goes after the sentence. Okay. Prison is where people go to die. You have people that are in prisons for decades. Wow. Okay? I've come across people, and this wasn't that like, I've come across people 40, 50 years in prison. What? This is in jail. Oh yeah, that's a whole nother discussion. Whoa. And it's built, prison is built, so everything is there. You never would leave. You would never have to leave. And some people, like I said, some people are in the same cell for decades. And so the difference, the jail was violent. It was rowdy, but there was hope. You saw cases changing. You saw some people going home. It was that excitement. I mean, there we go again with the juxtaposition of highs and lows. It was the violence, but it was that activity. It was that, when I got to prison, it was the resignation. I mean, people were walking around like zombies. It was incredible to me. The fact of, like, time is not measured in days. It's not even measured in months. It's measured in years. The one guy that said, oh, I have 11 more to go. 11 more what? Christmases, and then I'm home.
Whoa.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes. And he had already been there for 10, but that's a whole nother story. So I immediately recognized this is what destroys a man. It's not the violence. It's not the things that you might think. It is the resignation. It's the fact that I've totally given up. It's the fact that with the federal system, they purposely send people hundreds, sometimes thousands of miles away.
In the middle of nowhere.
Oh, yeah. So you definitely won't get a visit.
Okay.
You're definitely not going to get
And don't try to escape, because where you going to go in the woods?
Oh, well, that's where I was being held was right next to a military base. And they did military drills. So if you did escape, you probably were going to get killed.
Get shot.
So you would rather just, I mean, it was, the mind games that are played are immense. But, so that's what I noticed. And so, I came to this point where I got angry. And I did what I did. And I talk about that in the book. I did what I did, but I do believe that the sentence and the way that the whole thing done was an overkill. And I do think that there was an aspect of it, and they sort of made it like this. Well, you went to Harvard, so you should get a worse sentence. I mean, it was a lot of things that were happening in the background. And of course there's that cultural factor. Let's be very clear about this. Yeah. Let's be very clear about it. So I just say to say, I got to this point where I was like, I've got to fight. I've got to fight. I've got to fight. And I talk about this in the book. People have to see it. I had a 2021 release date, and it was the hand of God. I was going to be released 2021. I had a 7-year sentence. There was an appeal.
You wrote the appeal.
I did not write the appeal. That's the whole story in itself. Seek first the kingdom of heaven. That was the one scripture God put in my heart. I didn't even know where that scripture was in the Bible. I just seek first. It's a whole long thing, but I'll give you the 20-second version. Now, mind you, I was an attorney, a trained attorney. I didn't write any motions. I didn't write anything. I just saw. I wrote something to one firm, whatever, no response. All I know is, and I talk about this much more in the book, all I know is somebody reached out to me out of the blue and said, what you did was wrong, but the sentence was wrong too, and I want to help you fight.
Was it the young lady?
That wasn't the same young lady. It was another young lady.
Another young lady.
It was so many people that came to my defense. That was another young lady. Okay. That you're talking about.
I'm gonna stop you there for a minute.
Yes.
Things are dropping in my spirit from what I read. Okay. There was a point where just had it. There was a point where thank you. You pulled out. You got mad. You pulled out the papers. You pulled out and you put them all around. You start reading. I remember you said you start reading everything.
Yes.
Everything.
I hadn't read it till that point.
What happened when you started reading everything and things started clicking in your head?
Well, I'll start with saying, some people find it amazing that I did not. For the record, to this day, I haven't even read the opinion of the court on the appeal. Wow. This is my way of sometimes dealing with things, and it can be bad as far as dismissing. So up to that point, even through everything that happened, I just didn't. I let the lawyers do the lawyering. And now after that, I know we're kind of fast forwarding, after that 7-year sentence and all this, I'm like, what? Roll this back. Excuse me. How? And again, I did what I did. I was wrong, but I just thought there were a lot of other things at play here. And so I pulled everything out and I said, now I got to face it. I didn't want to face it because I didn't want to go back to this dark place. I didn't want to go back to this place of shame and hurt and pain. Right. But I realized if I didn't fight, and I want to say this to people if I can, sometimes what happens is we have this laid back spirit of, if it's God's will to be, it'll be. The devil is a liar.
Yeah, he is.
You gotta learn to
better
fight.
Say so.
The kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. You gotta have a Joshua spirit who held his hand up and commanded the sun to stay in his face until we get rid of destroying the enemy. And so, I think that I got to this point where I said, it's the old saying where the lady said, don't go to bed mad, stay up and fight. Okay? I said, I've got to fight. I felt like this is my life. And if I don't do something, if I don't do something, so my way of fighting first was to read everything and was to then begin to reach out to advocates or attorneys that I thought could do something. And once I received the help that I needed, I kind of then took a step back because I did want to just focus on building myself spiritually, because let's not forget, I was there because I had gone down a very dark road and made very poor choices. And I knew I needed to address that. But I had to fight that thing through. And I was released 4 years early. It was a 2021 release date, and this is 2019, and I was released in the beginning of 2018. And I don't know if that would have happened if I would have just sat back and said, if God's going to do it, he's going to do it. It was his will and his desire for freedom for me, as I believe it's his will and desire for freedom for all people, in every way. But we got to fight some things through, and that's why I wrote the book. It's about redemption, but it's more than redemption. It's about resilience.
Come on.
It's about, you're going to have to, and I don't want to take a whole left turn. We're living in a time now. I know, we're living in a time now where there's so much overt hostility being spread our way. You got to fight for what's yours. You better stop sitting back and thinking that somebody's going to just pass a law that's going to change, and I'm going to vote somebody in and it's going to change. You got to fight. That's how we got what we have now.
Exactly.
Because people sat up and they sat in and they stood up and they boycotted.
Protested.
We had church mothers and grandmothers who walked for 10, 20, 30 miles to get where they had to go because they would not get on a bus because it was an unfair, unequal, and unjust system.
Come on.
And I think had we just laid back, it's no telling where we would be now.
We wouldn't be right here.
No.
Okay.
And we've lost some of that. We got to get it back. We've lost some of that. We've gotten lulled to sleep.
And I think technology has a lot to do with that.
Yes.
That's just my opinion. But anyway, fast forward.
Yes.
Okay. Talk to my audience. Tell them how to get the book. I'm excited.
The book. You can get it on DarrellBennett.com. That's DarrellBennett. That's just my name, as well as Amazon. Amazon has been a big blessing in my life, and I'm on all the social media platforms. And if you're just looking for inspiration, look me up on Facebook and Instagram. I release snippets because that's what people need.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. When you go to, you were explaining in the first program that we did, the first part, that in one day you did like Rikers Island, different units of Rikers Island. And at the end of the day, it was Harvard professors. Was it Harvard?
Well, I was at the Harvard Club, but it was prosecutors. Prosecutors at the
Harvard Club.
Yes.
The dichotomy of Rikers to Harvard Club.
Yes.
How do you balance that in your mind? I mean, we know we have God, but it's like, how do you be
so versatile? The higher up you go, you have to learn to be versatile.
Okay.
And I grew up for the first 13 years of my life in in Baltimore. I went to high school in Virginia. I went to college in Atlanta. I went to law school in Boston. And then I moved to New York. I've never lived since I've been 13, I haven't lived in one city for more than 4 years. Wow. And so what that has done is it's given me the ability to be versatile. I've traveled around the world. I've traveled to China. I've, been to the Middle East. I've been to pretty much all through Western Europe. I've been to the Pacific Islands. I've been blessed. Even as a young child, I didn't fit in. Because, some of the black kids would say that I talked white.
Oh, join the club. Join the club.
And, so I had to learn, and I talk about this again in the book where I'm at my mom's house and I had to be one way. And then when I'm at my father's house, I had to learn to be a different way. And so what that taught me was a cultural ability to move within different spheres. And I think that's one of my greatest strengths. Yes, adaptability and credibility. And I had this, I know what my core is. So it took me a while to get there and I'm still learning it, but I know my core and now I know how to shift my message. I know how to shift the message to how my audience is by still remaining true to who I am. Yeah.
Okay. With the moments that we have left.
Yes.
Tell us how you started your publishing company.
Oh, so actually what it is it's a full, what we call professional and personal development company. It's called the BSGgroup.com. Okay. Well, it's called the BSG Group. Okay. But if you go to the BSGgroup.com, and it's several of us that are, partners, managers, have brought together a group of people, and we develop people. The book is a byproduct of what we are helping to develop people through. So when my first publishing company was in 2012. The mistake I made was we focused on the product, meaning this.
The end product, which was the book.
Was the book.
Right.
Now I've learned that the real product is the process through which the person goes through to create. See, once we get the root right, and you know where I'm going with John here, then the fruit comes. I'm not so focused on the fruit. I'm focused on getting the root, and I'm focused on that because then the fruit will come. So what we do is we work with people on how to work with you on a platform. So we have right now about 7 people that we're working with. And, let's work with you on getting you on platforms. Let's get you to how to speak a little bit clearer about your vision. And where is it that you want to go? And how can we help you take your artistry to the next level?
Awesome.
And I have a lot of people who help me because, I don't know about a lot of the things that, if it's brand management and that sort of thing, but I bring in people. So that's what we do. Because we're helping, I'll just say this, we're helping give people the blueprint. It's not just that I'm a motivational speaker, because you go and people get all excited and they clap, and then you go back to the same mess. We're giving you a blueprint, revelatory wisdom on how to unlock what God has put into your heart.
This is good. We might have to do part 3. I'm gonna have him on the show every week.
Thank you. Yes.
But okay, that's amazing. That's amazing. I had a guest on the program, Harriet Cole.
Okay.
Dream Leapers, and she is an amazing woman. I haven't aired the show yet, but I will. And y'all gotta watch that show, Harriet Cole. Google her, Facebook her. She's an amazing woman. Okay. And she's doing some things all over the world. Wow. She's also a published author, about 7 books. She does these workshops, these events, but I'm not going to use this platform because this is your time. But go Google her. Harriet Cole.
We're all on the same team.
Yeah, we're all on the same team. But okay, so where do you see yourself in a year?
I will always retain my American citizenship, but there's a period of time I know that I am going to be in Nigeria and also in Berlin. In Germany, and there's a whole reason behind those 2 places.
And he needs a camera person. I guess I'll be going to.
That's what I'm talking about.
He needs a camera person.
I already see it.
Yes.
And I just want to say, I see myself not so much in just being successful, but being significant. And there's a difference.
There's a difference.
See, success is when you add value to yourself. Significance is when you bring value to others.
That's good. Wait. Say that again slowly.
Success is when you bring value to yourself. But significance is when you bring value to others.
That's good.
And my proudest accomplishment is that everything that I've been blessed with, I've pulled somebody else with. There are people who are at Harvard today because I mentored them through the process. So it's great that I went. And I think what happens is we stop there. You went to a good school and you stopped. You got some money and you stopped. There are people who are published because of what we've done to push them through and help you. Okay, I got a book. Since 18 years old, I wrote this book. I've probably worked with dozens of people to help them get published.
Awesome.
So that's what I say. Everything that God has brought through, and that's why I felt like we had to go to Rikers. Because when God gives me a level of success, my covenant with him is I will always now see how I can help bring somebody else. And because this is the thing, with every level I push somebody else to, God pushes me another one, and then I do the next one, and then do the next one. That's significant. So that's what we're doing. But this is global. This is a global effort to get people to unlock the gifts and the purpose that God has placed in their life to them.
This is amazing. This is so amazing. You're an amazing young man. And I see this God just, you speaking it. You're doing it. And the doors are open. There's an open heaven over you. I mean, to go forth and just do what God has called you to do. And I knew that when I met you, we didn't tell anybody when we met. But anyway, at this particular church.
At this church, yes.
Particular church.
At this church, because it was at a church.
It was at a church, so don't get no ideas, anybody. It was at church, and he was like, oh, my book, da, da, da. I'm listening to him talking, and I was like, well, you know what? You need to just come be a guest on my program.
You did say
I sure did. I said, here's my card.
And everything worked out for this to...
For it to manifest.
And I thank you for this.
Let's thank God, because he's blessed me to be on television for 20 years.
But we thank you for being used. And that's why, that's what I tell people, because, that's a blessing in itself. Because a lot of people get a place, and we're talking about that outside, about the civil rights movement, and then they shut the door.
Yeah.
Or they don't help other people through. And the reason why we're here is because other people pushed us through.
Pushed us through. The reason why.
And I recognize that.
And I appreciate that.
I recognize it. I can do what my ancestors couldn't do. It's not just because I'm smart that I went to law school.
That's it.
Because if I was born 100 years ago, so you can be smart as you want to be.
That's it.
I wasn't going to be going there.
Okay.
And 30, 40 years down the line, my children and their children are going to be able to do things that I can't do.
That'll be a legacy.
It's going to be a legacy.
It's a legacy. And in the time that we have left, what was that? Was it an uncle that was very smart that knew us everything about almost every subject?
Oh, my grandfather.
Grandfather. Tell us that story real quick.
Yes, my grandfather was an entrepreneur. I'm talking about and he was a college professor, which was a big thing as a black man in the 70s.
1970s?
He was in the 70s. Wow. He was a professor.
Awesome.
And he was he's passed on that, extremely intelligent, extremely knowledgeable. And I know that I get a lot of that.
From him.
Oh, from him. And he was an entrepreneur. I think I've said that. But at 13 years old, my mom sent me down to work in his firm. He was a tax accountant. And I hated every minute of it. Oh, I did. Yes, kids typically do. I mean, he was hard on me. He had me doing all types of stuff. He was on me. But he was mentoring me, and he was showing me the blueprint, and I didn't recognize it. And I can say really quickly, Moses was on the mountain, and God said, now I want you to build the tabernacle according to what I showed you on the mountain. He was given the blueprint. That's what our young men need, the blueprint. I got the blueprint. That's why I'm here. And a lot of people poured into me the blueprint.
Amen. So we're honoring Grandpa.
We're honoring Grandpa. And all of the people that pushed their way through and pushed me through the door. There were a lot of people. A lot of people.
You would say kudos to your mom.
Oh, my mother. Oh, my gosh. My first book is dedicated to her. My mother is my mother, not only... Okay, I'll just say this real quick. Even in my darkest moments, there were things that I know my mother was upset about and angry and embarrassed. My mother held her tongue and said, how can I help you? What can I do? That's a rare quality. It's not that she's gifted, but my mother is a praying woman, a strong woman, but she's there for me. And I love her. I love my mom. I don't know where I'd be without Mama
Bennett. Was it Mama Bennett?
It's Mama Clark.
Mama Clark.
I call her. Yeah.
Thank you, Mama Clark.
Mama Clark
for this one right here.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
That's a blessing.
You did an excellent job.
Oh, that's nice.
God bless you. It's true. It's true.
That Mama.
So we're coming to the end of the program, part 2. Y'all got to see part 1. So this is back to back, part 1, part 2. Yes. Okay. So Darrell Bennett, thank you again for coming on the program, the McKenzie Project.
The McKenzie Project.
Faith and Fitness TV broadcast.
Right.
I am your host.
Y'all see us in Nigeria soon.
Yes. In Jesus' name.
That's right.
That's it. So I am Patricia McKenzie, also known as Takesha, your host for Faith and Fitness TV broadcast. The McKenzie Project, which can be seen every Saturday on www.mnn.org exactly at 4 p.m. Or you can go to Spectrum and look up MNN, Spectrum TV. We're on Verizon Fios, I think that's channel 8182, and we're on RCN, I think that's channel 81 or 34, 32. You can look it up and you'll be like, oh, MNN. Yes, and you'll see us on there. And so if you have any comments, please feel free to Facebook. I'm on Facebook, Patricia McKenzie.
Okay.
Facebook. I do Facebook Live, and so does Darrell.
Yes.
Again, real quick, tell them where they can get the book.
You can get the book on Amazon.com and on DarrellBennett.com. DarrellBennett, spelled just like my name.
And the name of the book is
Come Back Swinging. No matter what you've gone through, you can come back swinging.
Absolutely. So again, thank you again for part 2.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you for coming. And so please watch the program every Saturday at 4 p.m. Patricia McKenzie, Faith and Fitness TV broadcast, the McKenzie Project. And if you'd like to be a guest on the program, I would say hit me up, DM me on Facebook. DM me on Facebook Live or Instagram, named Patricia McKenzie, and I'll see what I can do. And if you're a talented or singer, actress, dancer, artist, musician, author, yeah?
That's what I'm talking about.
You know, hit me up, and we'll see what we can do to bring you on the program. So again, thank you so much, Darrell.
Thank you. Hit me up.
She's hip.
You said DM me. That's the.
I got a daughter that's 22, so
she keeps
me on my toes and be like, don't let me be saying some old word from 40, 50 years ago. She's let me know. Text me.
You can contact me.
DM me. Okay, Facebook Live me. I mean something.
That's what I'm talking about.
We gotta stay hip.
You know the signs of the times.
Exactly. So again, Faith and Fitness TV broadcast, the McKenzie Project, Patricia McKenzie coming to you live. We're ending the show. Darrell Bennett was my guest today, speaker. And if you'd like for him to come to speak at your organization.